Once a jolly swagman camped by a billabong under the shade of the coolabah tree, and he sang as he watched and waited till his billy boiled. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Down came a jumbuck to drink at that billabong. Up jumped the swagman and grabbed him with glee, and he sang as he shoved that jumbuck in his tucker bag. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Up rode the squatter, mounted on his thoroughbred. Down came the troopers, 1, 2, 3. Who's that jolly jumbuck you've got in your tucker bag? You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Up jumped the swagman and sprang into the billabong. You'll never catch me alive, said he, and his ghost may be heard as you pass by that billabong. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. So my dad's a big public speaker.
Are you going to give us the context of that song?
Yeah.
What does that song do and mean to you?
My dad's a big public speaker. I'm the youngest son. And I've always had a lot of anxiety about my voice. Never could sing. And in 3rd grade, my class was going to sing a song for the school concert. And so the teacher gave us the song, we all started singing. And I was really off. And so the teacher said to me, why don't you stay after school and we'll work on the song. I was the only person who stayed after school to work on the song. And she would sit at the piano and I would try to approximate the notes that she would play on the piano. And I think by the 3rd session she said, why don't you just mime? And that's been one of my favorite stories. It's been a standby. I never could learn to sing. I never could keep a tune. And when I was feeling happy, just with like one friend, I would sing a jingle from the radio or try to sing a few lines from a song. And occasionally he'd tell me, oh, you almost got that. But usually it's like, oh my God, that's terrible. So after 8th grade, we got a TV, and I wanted to become a television newscaster. And so this is the early 1980s, and I start doing the news weekly on the local radio station and announcing basketball games on community access cable television. And the team would watch the games, watch the videotape after the games, and the coach would turn off the sound. He'd call me the squeaking deacon, because my voice would rise so high that only dogs could hear it. After high school, I got a job at the radio station, and I did the news on the weekends. But I had so much anxiety about my voice that it kept getting worse every month. And they'd try to help me and give me tips, but I couldn't figure it out. And so I turned to my father, who could effortlessly project across a room filled with hundreds of people. My dad's a highly accomplished public speaker. And he would talk about abdominal breathing, and he'd give me these books on public speaking, enunciation, and projection, and I just couldn't get it. It did me no good, and the more I tried, the more it sounded like I was drowning on the air in my own saliva. And I had a job at a radio station. I was the only guy in there on weekends. 2.5 minutes after the hour on AM 950 KHI, I'm Luke Ford in the K-High newsroom, and here's what's going on in the foothills. I got to cover the San Francisco 49er football games, Sacramento Kings basketball games. I interviewed Alan Cranston. interviewed Larry Bird and all sorts of famous athletes, but my voice sucked, and the more anxiety I had about my voice and the harder I tried, the worse it got. And so I eventually quit. I quit in August of 1987 after a little more than 2 years at the radio station post-high school. And I said, I'm going to devote myself to academia. I'm going to become a serious student and become an economist because radio is just not working out. I've always wanted to be awesome. I've always wanted to be great and famous because I thought that would get me laid. I get to UCLA 1988. I'm ill with chronic fatigue syndrome. I'm spending about 18 hours a day in bed. And on KCRW one day, I hear an interview with Dr. Morton Cooper, who has published a book called Change Your Voice, Change Your Life. And he talked about these various voice exercises to get your voice in the right pitch. So one of them was, right, ready, really. And then the other one was, and I was really thrilled because when I do these exercises, my voice would sound much more powerful. Then, I never got the book, but I remembered these two exercises. So when I got religious and I started making amends to people that I'd been a bastard to, including the girl who I tickled so much that she called me a rapist, I lay down on the floor to make her an audio tape. So I was really sick and living at home at the time. Because when you lie down on the floor, it provides much more resonance to your voice. So I just kind of lay down here, and you can hear the change in my voice. And I did, and I did, then turned on the tape recorder, hey Rochelle, it's Luke Ford from high school. And like I had this really deep, resonant voice. And it was like this new self that could get laid and be successful and flourish and make amends and connect. It was just going to be a whole new me. Because as Dr. Morton Cooper said, change your voice, change your life. And I've always wanted to change my life because my life has always been effing miserable. And so Rochelle replied, and she said, wow, your voice has really changed. It's so deep and it's so resonant. And she didn't have sex with me, but I mean, she forgave me. So, problem with Dr. Morton Cooper's methods, as I understood them, they only had an effect for a little time, just a minute or two or three. And once I'd start getting into the sway of a conversation, my voice would go back to the same strained voice that I'd always had. Fast forward to my 40th birthday. I got a $50 gift certificate from a friend, and I bought the book by Neil Strauss, The Game Inside the Secret Society of Pickup Artists. And I got the sequel, The Rules of the Game, which is like a 30-day plan for getting a date. And I think on day number 7, talked about the importance of posture in meeting women. And there was one line in there. It said, the Alexander technique helps with posture, helps with voice, and many other health-related issues. I've always had this huge anxiety about my voice. And by this time I've done a lot of TV and radio interviews, but the anxiety would put strain on my voice. And I want to be awesome. So I said, wow, Alexander technique will help me with women. It'll help my posture. I've always had really bad posture. It'll help my health, but most importantly, it'll help my voice so that I can have that powerful voice that I always wanted. So I went and took 30 lessons, and I fell in love with the technique. And I needed to change my life because I quit writing on the porn industry, and I didn't know how I was going to make a living. And I got this new credit card offer, $10,000. So I enrolled in this 3-year Alexander Technique teaching program. And like 6 months in, I took Terry Silverman's writing class for the first time. At the end of the writing class, we would all read our story aloud to the room. So at this point, I've nearly finished a year of the Alexander technique, which is all about learning to project your voice. So we have our big show at the Workman's Circle in my neighborhood, Pico Robertson, and Terry wants us to test out our projection to just read the first and last sentence. So I step up after I've been doing all this Alexander, and I've been working on it with my teacher so that I can really project my voice. And she said, okay, Luke, you do the Alexander technique. I can't really hear you. You need to project more. And I couldn't. I could not project my voice to fill this crappy little room. I'd been working on my voice with my teachers. I'd been Alexandering out of my mind, and I couldn't do it. So I got up to read my story, and the first couple of sentences, my voice is strained. And then I was holding the story like this, and then I put a hand in my pocket, and I relaxed. And then my voice came forth. And towards the end of my second year, I did a lot of individual sessions on my voice with my teachers. And then I was able to just effortlessly fill a room, project a room. Now I feel confident in my voice. I don't feel confident in my singing. This is the first time I've ever sung for a group. Like I will sing in front of one person, but I've never sung in front of 5 people before, so that's a first for me. But I feel confident in my speaking voice, my ability to project, and I feel confident enough to stand up here and sing without having taken any singing lessons and without knowing if I can keep a tune, but I feel like it's all right. And I still haven't noticed any change in the way women respond to me, even though I've got the great posture. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, so what was the experience like to sing?
It was more challenging than when I sang before one guy at work today. Like one guy comes up and asks me about this song, and so I quickly Googled it.
But what was it like to do it?
So it was much more challenging. It was more daunting than just doing it in front of one friend at work.
And how did you feel after you did it?
I felt like it went fine.
But what did you notice? What did you observe about yourself?
I got more confident and more into it as it went along. At first I just had trepidation, like what the heck is this? And then by about the second or the third voice, I was living the song.
So what was that like to have that triumph?
It was good. It was like I wanted to connect with you guys.
And why that song?
I didn't just want to throw things at you.
Why did you pick that song?
To connect. It really speaks to me. It's that Aussie pessimism, being a convict, stealing, breaking boundaries, getting caught, and you'll never catch me alive.
Is that what the song is about, or what you think is the stereotype of being an Australian?
I think that's what the song's about. It's about someone who steals a jumbuck, which is, I think it's like a deer, something like that. And the law catches him, and he says, "You'll never catch me alive." And so as he tries to escape, he drowns. And so I get that. I understand the thrill of breaking boundaries. That's what Eroticized Rage is all about. It's the thrill of breaking boundaries.
So this could almost be like a theme song.
Yeah. I haven't thought about it deeply. I just found myself singing it at work today. I said, what the heck?
Did that surprise you?
No, I can sing in front of one person.
No, that song came to you to sing.
Well, my friend asked me about the song, so...
Is this a song that all children have to sing growing up?
It's Australia's unofficial national anthem.
But are you taught it in school to sing?
It's almost taken for granted everyone knows this song. Far more people know this song than know the national anthem.
How does a child learn the song?
It's just so omnipresent.
Because you hear it?
Yeah, you hear it.
Okay. You hear it what? At sports shows?
Yeah, TV, radio.
Okay.
It's the most common Australian song.
Okay. Okay, so I'm so glad that you let yourself take that leap. And also to start noticing what happens when you are heard and when your voice does things that normally you wouldn't let yourself do. And I'd love to know much more exactly how you hear your Father's voice, what it means and what it represents, and how you contrast your own voice, since that is your primal reference.